As the needs of the city change, moving these divisions closer together under one department helps us to better service the communities.
Okay, and you know, I mentioned also the folks or you know the services for homeless people. What other things are going to be under the department?
Julius?
I gotta grab the ordinance. Give me a second. I'm sorry.
I believe it'd be recreation programming with respect to the division of recreation as well.
Right. So is there going to be a new recreation director, or is Mr. Spencer staying on?
Yes, Mr. Spencer's still staying on.
Okay, but he would move to having the new department head be his supervisor.
Correct.
Okay. And how will this affect the social services department? That department will stay?
Yes, social services will stay. That department currently has a great deal of things to handle. Since COVID, our senior outreach has changed. It's taken on additional responsibilities. So social services is busy and will be busy as it moves forward.
Okay. And so when I see here emergency shelter programs, I mentioned, you know, Code Blue being one of those. Are there any other emergency shelter programs, or is that the only one?
Code Red, Code Blue, coordination with our food pantries, coordination with our housing services. Most of the networks that are strong in New Brunswick, this department will be able to bring those networks together and speak to them and work with them on behalf of our residents.
Okay. Well, I think it's important to note that there's also, you know, emergencies that come up, like, you know, hurricanes, power outages, those kind of things that are going to, you know, come up, and there will be need for emergency shelters. And so I just want to understand if that's also under this department, or is that somebody else's role?
Mr. Shammy.
Well, yeah, with respect to shelter programs, I mean, it certainly comes within this department, but I think this department will be will focus on those particular needs in the community. Human and community services certainly lends itself to that type of function. I don't believe your question addresses things such as the natural disasters, but obviously, if there were such a thing, this program, this department rather, could take advantage of its resources and relocate people as necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Cradible. I'm assuming one has expired. Next up on the list, Madam Clerk.
Council President, by alphabetical order, the next person on the list is Mr. Macropolis.
Mr. Macropolis, would you give your name and address for the record, please?
Christo, under Sunshine Law, I don't have to give my address. Can I continue?
Mr. Shammy?
Yeah, he can continue.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to say I'm against this resolution. I yield my time. I'm going to wait for the public comments.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Council President, the next person on the list is Ms. Danielle Moore.
Ms. Moore, you're up now.
Yes, I just have one question due to where, once again, a few of my questions was answered already. Now, due to where you're saying you're combining these services together, is this going to cost more or cost less financially?
Mr. Douglas?
Sure. Currently, these services are already functioning. They're functioning within our budget structure. So there is no plans to spend any additional money. It's to bring them closer together in the organization structure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Moore. Madam Clerk, is that it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing now and we'll look for the adoption, or not.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Council Vice President Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. Next up are our ordinances on first reading. There are none for this council meeting. And after that, we now have resolutions 1 through 23, not including number 14. So at this time, we're preparing to open the meeting to the public comment on the resolutions only for up to 5 minutes per person. In order to assure that the city can hear from the interested public and that the public can hear public comment, I will organize the speakers in order by last name. In a moment, I will unmute the public call-in. At that time, I will ask you to provide me with your last name, first name. We'll start with the letters N through Z and then go from A to M. After asking 3 times, I will then close the public comment portion. Please be mindful that your voice is being telephonically transmitted and to speak slowly and clearly for the benefit of all. I will ask that you please remain silent when I initially unmute the phones so that we can all hear each other and then begin the speaker registration process. Remember, all other members of the public will be muted in order to assure that the City Council can clearly hear and understand the recognized speaker. We will now open up for the public on resolutions 1 through 23.
Unmuted.
14. So again, we'll start with the letters N through Z on the resolutions. If anyone would like to speak on the resolutions N through Z, if your last name begins with those letters, would you please shout out your name? I'll ask for a second time, letters N through Z. If anybody would like to talk on the resolutions. And a third time, letters N through Z, talking on the resolutions. Okay, let's try last name letters beginning with the letters A through M. Anybody on the resolutions? Okay, Miss Moore. We have Miss Moore. Who else? Was that somebody else there?
Charlie.
A through
Charlie
M.
Cradaville?
Anybody? Charlie Cradaville, yes, sir. Anybody else? Letters A through M that would like to speak on the resolution? Again, a third time, letters A through M. Okay, we will close the people there, and we'll start with the people that
Muted.
Madam Clerk, who's up?
Council President, by alphabetical order, the first person on the list is Mr. Charlie Cradaville.
Mr. Cradaville, you're up. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Charlie Cradaville. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Okay.
Yes, go ahead, Cradaville.
Thank you. Let's start with 2037, 2038. There was an audit done of the city's 2019 finances, and corrective action plan is necessary. Can you itemize what the findings of the audit were and what's being done to correct the problem?
Okay. I know they've had 3 recommendations, so that would be, what number was that again, Mr. Cradaville?
38 is the corrective action plan, number 6.
Number. Okay, Mr. Mulrine, could you address that?
Yeah.
Yes, number 6.
Sure. There was a couple items that were listed for corrective action this year in the audit for the city. One of which had to do with the animal control fees. There was some issues with some receipts that were being brought over to the animal control department. So the auditors recommended a different receipting system, to which the animal control department's already implemented prior to the end of last year. There was a question in the recreation department about a fee no longer in use. to which the city is going to review, possibly changing the ordinance to remove the fee since it's no longer being used. There was an issue of some city salaries that were outside of range that the city has proposed ordinances that have already been approved to correct that issue. And that was about it.
Okay, can you tell me how many
ahead, Mr.
salaries were out of range, and which can you tell me how many salaries were outside of range, and which ordinances were passed to correct it?
Mr. Mulroy?
Yes, there were 2 salaries that were out of range, if I remember correctly, and the ordinance was done back in August of this year, was 08-2004.
Okay. I'd like to ask about the changes to the employee handbook. What is changing there?
Sure. Council President, the changes to the handbook are yes. What they are, it's the current practice of the city is to prorate benefit time. This just forms it in the policy within the handbook. And also it clarifies tuition reimbursements.
Okay, right. The last item on your agenda is the Houlihan's liquor license. What's happening there? Did the owners of the restaurant sell to another entrepreneur, or what?
Mr. Shammy?
More Madam Clerk can answer the question. Go ahead, Ms. Clerk.
Back in September, we had extended the license to bankruptcy due to a Chapter 11 bankruptcy relief. And now that they've done the criminal and financial background, we can actually put it in the liquor license, the new name.
Gotcha. And do you know offhand what the sale price was, or what the transfer price was?
I do not. It was under a bankruptcy, so I'm not sure. They have multiple assets throughout the state.
Gotcha. That's fine. I'll move on. I actually want to go back to the audit. Was there anything in there about police ticket books, and the records being consistent with the court and what the police think they are?
Mulroy?
The auditors issue a separate court report, which goes directly to the judiciary, and those findings are handled by the court system and the police department, in conjunction with them. We'd have to refer to that court report. This corrective action only applies to specific city recommendations.
Understood. For the record, I think the council should get to look at that report, and that should be shared with the council and the public. I know there have been issues with police ticket books in the past. I'm intimately familiar with it, and I think that council does have some responsibility for the municipal court and certainly for the police department. So I would hope that report is shared with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cradaville. The time of the gentleman has expired. Next up on clerk.
Council President, the next person on the list is Ms. Danielle Moore.
Ms. Moore, go ahead. You're up.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Can
Ms.
you hear
Moore,
me?
go ahead.
Okay, I would like to
Yes.
start off with number
We can hear you.
8. Number 8, if you can tell me what this is going towards. Department of
That
Housing.
goes to the homes that we are. Right, for the budget insertion that helps with the rehabilitation of homes.
So is this for low income or homeowners? Well, what are you saying to help out with the budget?
Mr. Mulroy?
This one actually goes to Mr. Dominguez. He manages the home grant.
Okay, Mr. Dominguez?
So for the budget insertion, my memory serves me, this was a grant that we got last year, but was not inserted as an additional grant into the budget last calendar year. So this is sort of a formality of it. It's an annual grant that the federal government gives the city to help subsidize the construction of affordable housing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Moore,
The next
Okay.
one, that's
thank you.
Jersey Avenue Water Main, that's number 12. Is this regards to something with the, with 40 Van Dyke Avenue?
Mr. Wallace?
No, this is picking up where we left off with a project upgrading the size of the water main on Jersey Avenue to help improve fire flows between Van Dyke and Quint Avenue.
Okay.
You got that, Ms. Moore?
Yes, thank you. And then that's for 16 with emergency housing shelter.
Yes.
If you can tell me what this is for?
Sure. Emergency. Mr. Dominguez, I think it's, we got one bid a little too high, so we want to go back. Mr. Dominguez is,
So, if I may, can you hear me?
yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
There's more, Mr. Council President. So every 2 years we go out to bid for a hotel or motel to place people when the city shuts down the building for code compliance issues, construction or housing inspections. We use federal CDBG grant money to subsidize that. We got only one bid or proposal this year. It was way out of line for what we were expecting, so we're rejecting and rebidding.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the last one, if you can just tell me, I do see that's with 18. I do see Robert Wood Johnson doing more work on French Street side. If you can tell me, what are they rebuilding? What are they doing? Is this regards to 18?
Mr. Valenti?
Specific to this amendment, this is not directly related to the work that's going on in what's known as the South Tower building or the core pavilion extension. These are primary HVAC units on a far upper roof, and it's a large crane in order to accommodate the reach and the weight, but it's not directly related to the work that's ongoing in that area where you can see the construction ongoing now.
Thank you. Go
Okay,
ahead, Ms. Moore.
you. Okay, thank you. I'm done.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's it, right, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Council President.
Okay, hearing.
Resolution.
Second.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Council Vice President Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes, the resolutions are adopted. At this time, we'll have the OEM COVID-19 update from Director Rawls. Yes, Director Rawls.
I'm here. Good evening.
Go ahead.
So, emergency management COVID-19 update for this council meeting. First, let me start with saying that we're pleased to see a leveling of the numbers of daily confirmed cases of COVID-19 in New Brunswick. While the numbers are higher than they were over the summer, the daily numbers in October have been much better than they were in September. So please, please, please continue to wear your mask, social distance, and wash your hands. Last week, the governor allowed resumption of indoor sports with some restrictions. Due to the continued increase in cases around the state, it remains unclear when there will be increases to the limits on indoor dining and other indoor activities. Upcoming local COVID-19 tests for the youth sports complex, Joyce Kilmer, are full for this week, which is tomorrow. But you can register for next week at the usual number and website. Also, the city continues to share updated information about COVID-19 on the website and social media. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Director. We have items for discussion. If anybody from the City Council, Vice President Socorro Ludwig, anything?
Yeah, I have a few things, John. I want to remind everybody again that you need to fill out your ballots, drop them in the boxes, get them over to the Board of Elections, or drop them in the mail. And please remember that per Governor Murphy, there is no in-person voting on the polling machines. People are still under that assumption that they can do that, but I just want to put that out there again. Second, I want to let everybody know that there is a Halloween candy giveaway behind City Hall on Halloween. That's a Saturday from 3 to 7. People are encouraged, families, to dress up in costumes, wear masks. Well, you have to wear a mask and be socially distant at the event. If it rains, it will be held on Sunday, 11/1. And then also this weekend, Rutgers football is back, and they're doing a kickoff weekend on George Street. They're going to have giveaways, activities. The TVs will be out there to watch the game, so participate in that. And always look to our website for events that are going on around the city, because there's usually something going on, and there's something for families to do, to bring your kids out. There's activities at the yard, there's movie nights, there's yoga days. So, you know, some people may not be aware of those things. So just check out our website, and that's all I have for tonight, John. Thank you.
No, thank you. It's my understanding that even if you have a Halloween mask, you need a mask underneath that. Is that correct? Does anybody know?
That is correct. They're asking you to still wear a mask underneath your Halloween mask. Still a lot safer with the face coverings that we've been wearing.
Thank you, Director. Councilwoman Escobar, anything?
No, Councilwoman Socorro, we covered. I just wanted to remind people about the Halloween celebration that is happening, and also Corazon Latino Festival is coming up for people to participate. This year is going to be a virtual event. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Egan, anything?
No report, sir.
And Councilman Fleming, anything?
No, just continue to support the local businesses all over the city. A lot of them are still struggling. I believe we still have outdoor dining, weather permitting. And it's a pretty good experience if you can participate in that.
Thank you. Yes, anywhere where you can take care of any of our businesses, please help them. Okay. At this time, we're preparing to open the meeting to the public comment for up to 5 minutes per person. In order to assure the City Council can hear from the interested public and that the public can hear public comment, I will organize the speakers in order by last name. In a moment, I will unmute the public call-in. At that time, I'll ask you to provide me with your last name and your first name. Again, it will start N to Z and then A to M. After asking 3 times, I will then close the public comment portion. Please be mindful that your voice is being telephonically transmitted and to speak slowly and clearly for the benefit of all. I will ask that you please remain silent when I initially unmute the phone so that we can all hear each other and then begin the speaker registration process. So we'll unmute the phone speaker. Again, all other members of the public will be muted in order to assure that the City Council can clearly hear and understand the recognized speaker. So are there any members of the public whose last names begin with the letter N through the letter Z?
Unmuted.
To speak. Your last name begins with the letter N through Z. Would you shout out your name? Anybody? N through Z, if you'd like to speak. Again,
Hello?
for time, letters N through Z. Yes, name?
Lindsay Noggle.
Okay. Novel?
Yes, N-A-U-G-L-E.
You just spell that last name for me?
Sure, N-A-U-G-L-E.
Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Yes, Claire
Thank you.
Montgomery.
Anybody else?
Yes,
Montgomery?
Claire
Thank
Montgomery.
you. All right. We'll put that down. Anybody N through Z? And we'll go from letters A through M. Anybody like to public comment? Letters A through M.
Macropolis?
Metropolis, thank you.
Charlie
Anybody else?
Cradaville?
Letters A through M. Well, thank you.
Charlie Cradaville?
Yes, I got Mr. Cradaville, thank you. Anyone else whose last names begins with A through M? Asking a second time, A through M. And a third time, letters A through M. And just once, anybody A through Z that we might have missed? Anybody else A through Z? Anybody else A through Z? Okay, we have our list. And Madam Clerk, who do we have?
Council President, the first person on the list is Ms. Lindsay Noggle.
Ms. Knopp, go ahead. You have 5 minutes, one time up.
Hello, this will be quick, actually. I see that there's an item.
If you could just give me your name and address.
Muted.
Record. Just your name and address for the record, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, Lindsay
Just your name
Noggle.
and address for the record.
Lindsay Noggle,
Okay.
sorry. 88 Easton Avenue, New Brunswick.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Go ahead now.
Okay, I see that in item number 8, under resolutions, sorry, I'm here with Claire Montgomery on the list also. We just have the same question. Item number 8 under resolutions is accepting a pretty large grant from HUD. I was just wondering what this money was earmarked for.
Hey, Mr. Dominguez, would you answer that again?
Is this the home grant money? I don't have the agenda immediately in front of me.
That's correct, Mr. Dominguez.
Yeah, so annually we get a grant of about roughly this magnitude for the development of affordable housing in the city of New Brunswick. This was last year. We just didn't add it into our budget, so this is just retroactively adding last year's as a budget insertion of last year's grant award. That's all.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Go ahead. Thank you. Next up, Madam Clerk.
Unmuted. Council President, the next person on the list will be Mr. Charlie Cradaville.
Mr. Cradaville, you're up now.
Good evening, once again.
Muted.
New Brunswick today. I do want to, encourage everyone to vote who has not already. While it is preferable to vote on the mail-in ballot that you may have received, there are 6 polling places that are going to be open, and you'll be able to vote on a paper ballot there. Again, preferable to do the mail-in ballot, but there are 6 locations in New Brunswick where voters can go on Election Day. We've shared them on our Facebook page, and we will have on our NewBrunswickToday.com website a map of those locations, as well as all the ballot boxes where folks can drop off their ballot. If I may ask the council members, if you're willing to share with me, I'm curious how you're going to be voting on the question for New Brunswick, which would expand the size of this council from 5 to 7 members. Does anyone have a position on that?
Council members?
I will share that I agree and I voted yes.
Okay, anybody?
Okay.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anybody else want to share? Not at this time.
Okay. Is the city going to release its pandemic continuity plan? Judge Rivas ruled last week that it should be a public document under Oprah. Is that going to be released?
Mr. Shammy?
I quite frankly just heard a couple hours ago about Judge Rivas's decision. I have not reviewed his order, but whatever Judge Rivas has ordered, we will so comply. So if Judge Rivas said we have to release the plan, it will be released to council for Mr. Cradaville pursuant to that order.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. The Code Blue program, aforementioned, we haven't had a night that's gotten below freezing yet, I don't think, but can somebody tell me what temperature threshold will be used this year to determine whether or not the Code Blue shelter opens?
Mr. Jones, maybe?
Okay. I'm here, Council President. As it stands right now, nothing would change. The city will stick to its plan, and we will operate in the same fashion we operated last year.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, last year you had two. Last year there were two standards. It started with a higher number, and then the number was changed to 20 degrees. It changed back to 20 degrees. So are you saying it's going to remain 20 degrees?
Mr. Jones?
If memory serves me correctly, I think we actually upped it to 25. We didn't go to the 32 degrees that we're talking about.
So it looks like 25 degrees, Mr. Craddock.
Okay. Okay, so that's a change, no?
I thought we had 20.
Again,
well, I'll take it.
Yeah. So we don't look to change.
I'll just say I'm. Okay. Well, I think that it should be 32, and quite frankly, I think that we should work towards having the capacity to shelter folks any night. But 25 is better than 20, and I do hope that we can get to 32 before it gets to 32, because it's wrong to have people out freezing on the streets. And I know that there's definitely spaces, especially now, that could be utilized as shelters. Can you tell me, are you going to continue using the Remnson Avenue Community Center, the Unity Square building, or is there going to be a different location?
Mr. Jones?
Yes. So we are planning site review immediately, and the thought is that while the location was perfect for Code Blue prior to COVID, there are a lot of new changes and requirements that we're going to have to meet in order to be able to serve, if you can imagine, a larger population possibly throughout the city and the county and beyond. So there are a number of things that need to be considered, not only for the sake of cold weather or freezing weather, but now with a possible, what looks like a third wave of COVID coming, we have to take that into account as well, how many people we can shelter with the proper social distancing and the proper setup and all of those different variables that we have to now consider. So to answer your question, I would love Unity Square to be the place still, but we may do the site review and it may not be adequate for what we need to do.
Thank you.
Okay, and if I may just end with a suggestion, I think that we should talk to the school district and consider like the Lord Sterling Gymnasium or some large space like that. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Next up, Madam Clerk.
Council President, the next person on the list will be Mr. McCropolis.
Mr. McCropolis, if you have the floor, go ahead.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, New Brunswick's a democratic city, but we'll see what we can do. I hope this general election, voters, they do the right thing. They search their conscience no matter what party they belong to. And they look to see the candidate that holds their morals and values, not somebody like Joe Biden, who's been a career racist his whole life. His friends with the Grand Wizard of the KKK, actually has photos with the man. Said he doesn't want America to become a racial jungle. Joe Biden, along with those in the White House he was with, they supported neo-Nazis in Ukraine, gave them $6 billion USA tax dollars to overthrow a democratically elected government. They continuously supported ISIS for years until Trump got elected. Again, everyone can see his behavior online. You can say anything you want about Trump. Everyone has their positives and negatives, but at the end of the day, again, like Hillary was the worst candidate you can find, Biden was the worst candidate, even worse than Hillary, and it just shows the Democrats, the Middlesex County Democratic Organization, Democratic organizations around the nation, what low-class people and losers they are. I would just like to say that it's also the same people in New Brunswick that are going to continuously vote Democrat. It's been the Middlesex County Democratic Organization, along with Jack Morris, have been involved in destroying the Lincoln Annex School and also buying Jack Morris's property that's contaminated so they can build a school on contaminated property where the kids can develop cancer. This is disgusting. I'm glad you guys finally, Lieutenant Trigg finally quit from the department. That's good. We don't need a sex predator cop that's constantly exposing himself through police issued phones. I didn't hear Councilman Fleming name brought up today. Is Councilman Fleming here today?
He is.
Hello? Okay. Well, Councilman
Yes, he is.
Fleming, he knows very well the story that was tapped into New Brunswick, that allegedly Councilman Fleming exposed himself to a woman and her son walked in the room. I think in this day and age, especially with the Me Too movement, more people, they should have gotten involved, demanded Councilman Fleming to resign. Councilman Fleming, would you like to resign?
You can repeat a lie as many times as you want. It still doesn't make it true. And believe it or not, in 2020, a person still has due process and has a right to their day in court. And when this lie gets exposed and thrown out, then I wonder what you're going to have to talk about.
So are you telling, I'm not the one who created this lie, sir. This is a story that's tapped into New Brunswick. Are you telling me?
Once again, you can repeat a lie. You can repeat a lie as many times as you want. It's still not going to make it true.
Sir. Please stop interrupting me.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Please stop interrupting me. So are you going to tell me?
You respond. You asked me a question. You asked me a question.
Well, you don't have to
keep
repeating the same thing, wasting my time.
Go ahead.
So are you going to tell me after this lawsuit is over that you are going to do a civil lawsuit with Tap into New Brunswick? Are you considering
I'm no longer
that?
going to respond to you.
Okay. Well, personally, you should resign. I don't think any man should have ever put themselves in a position, especially in 2020. You should have known better to put yourself in a compromising position. You should always never allow anything like that. And again, real men, they know this, especially there's a lot of people that, yes, they are faking accusations left and right. But again, like you said, this is 2020. You're a grown man. You're older than me. There should be no excuse that you were even in any situation like that. So at this moment, I stand with the woman. Okay, I do not believe the woman's lying, and I hope this is not true. But again, you're a public official.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for your comments. Your time has expired. Madam Clerk, anything else?
Council President, the last person on the list is Miss Claire Montgomery.
Unmuted.
Marie, you are up. If you could give your name and address for the record.
And no more, I have didn't speak.
I apologize, Ms. Moore, I did not hear you.
Okay, we'll take more. Let me just take Ms. Montgomery first, okay?
Okay.
Would you like to talk, Ms. Montgomery?
Yeah, my address.
What's your first and last name for the record, Ms. Montgomery?
Claire Montgomery, 5386 Shorewood Drive, Fort Gratiot, Michigan. And I actually am with the other commentator, Lindsay Noggle, so I don't have any further questions.
Okay, well, thank you for listening. Ms. Moore, you can go now.
Hi, yes, Danielle Moore, 333 Somerset Street. Like I said, wow, this will be the last time I am at 333 Somerset Street. And one reason why I'm mentioning that to the city, it's a shame to where I have to pick to a good
Muted.
Lord and really move because wow, like I said to the city last year, catching over 30 mice in an apartment, and then wow, the neighbors are going through the same thing and going through the same problem again. I say the city, the mayor needs to take action with all these rodents that are really out here in the city. Why? Because people do not take care of their lawns with their garbage and everything. It's creating rodents where you see daylight, rats and all running up and down the street. And then, wow, to go through this situation again, I say it's not the landlord. He was the best landlord that I had other than my grandmother. He's very responsible, but like I said, the city needs to take action with cleaning up. And I mean extremely. Mice and rodents is very outrageous. Why? Wow. Like I said, I really didn't want to move from 333 Somerset, the best landlord ever. But like I said, filled with rodents, there are plenty of neighbors who are moving due to where it's so many rats, due to where how the inspectors do not go out and give tickets out for high grass, too much garbage. Most of you are homeowners. It's a difference when you rent from neighborhoods. How, like I said, yes, I think the mayor should put an order in with these inspectors to keep going around and make sure New Brunswick is clean. That was the same thing I was saying with the post office. It's been 3 months now. Well, it still hasn't been clean. And then you wonder why I mentioned about clean? Like I said, dealing with rodents, so it's not good at all. But I will be moving to Birchwood Terrace Apartments. And believe me, it's much cleaner over there, but more pricier as well. I would like to say thank you to Mr. Tom Valently. He did respond, and quickly the next day he put the sign, "Do not enter" sign up on Ball Street with the one-way street. I do thank you very much. I thank Mr. Tom Valently as well, where it was funny how we met at the same time with the tree on the 291 Columbus Place, where I asked for it to be investigated. I do thank you for coming over there, taking action with that. And then as well, I would just like to speak on the police department. Please, I wasn't against defunding the police department, but wow, I'm wondering, what is the police department really getting paid to do? You have so many people complaining about speeding, Joyce Summer Avenue, Somerset Street. Wow, I can guarantee you the record book must be down with police officers giving out tickets. How you have so many people speeding while you don't see the officers giving out tickets anymore. I mean, it's outrageous. You can do anything in front of a police officer almost anymore. And wow, with as many counts where I don't see why it hasn't been investigated with the Park Farm Walgreens, where you're picking up 3 times a day with people with OD smoking space in K2. You investigated with who was doing fireworks, but wow, you would not investigate who's selling K2 with space over there, and you plan to put a school over there at 50 Jersey Avenue? Please, I've been putting all the videos on Facebook to show how many times you're picking someone up there from drugs. And I even mentioned it to Captain Miller about it, where he responded, but then I got blocked where I wasn't able to email the pictures over to him. I got blocked. But yes, I think the police department needs to do way more than they are, because New Brunswick is getting outrageous, where what? The police officers don't even care. What for speeding? Wow, you don't see them give out tickets anymore. I guarantee you the budget must have decreased compared to how the police department used to be giving out tickets. And it's just really sad to see, like I said, as many people as they keep rushing to the hospital from this same location, from using so much drugs. It's really hurting. Like, wow, does Robert Wood Johnson care? Or are they making money? But when is the police department going to investigate who's selling this stuff over here? It's like you can do whatever you want in front of the police department now. What all you see? I don't want to start doing videos where you see them in groups chilling out in the parking lot, just talking to each other. I don't want them to go against me. They respect me, so I respect them. But yes, I think the police department needs to do way better than they're doing.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Moore. Appreciate that. The time this gentle lady has expired. Again, people get out and vote. Everyone do the right thing, as always, to their right thing. Make sure you can believe in your conscience to do that. As the gentleman said, everyone has their plus and minus on both sides. And I can assure you that the school will not be built on contaminated property. The Department of Environmental Protection would have to sign off on that first. So if that goes that way, that's what they'll do. Again, we thank you for your comments. Anybody want to?
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you.
Second.
Councilmember Egan.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Council Vice President Socorro Ludwig.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for using WebEx.